Welcome back to Jedi Enclave. I'm Daniel.
I'm Chris.
And this is Jedi Enclave Star Wars Storytime Halloween Edition. Ooh. So, if you're...
That's the black cat, dude.
No, I get it. So if you're a follower of the channel, you know we like to do Star Wars Storytime, where we kind of retell our favorite stories. Most of them so far have been really cool comics that we like. I figure Halloween's right around the corner right now as we're taping this, so we'll do something scary. And I've been looking for an excuse to tell this story because I feel like I tell it to everyone I meet that I find out they are Star Wars fans, especially when they say they don't like the prequels. Mm-hmm. Because I maintain that the prequel movies aren't very fun to watch.
The movies, yes.
Yeah, the movies are, with a few exceptions, there are some, I watched episode 2 to see the Yoda fight at the end.
That's fair.
And there are a couple of other things, you know. However, say what you will about George Lucas's screenwriting, the general outline of the story is really cool. And I will say that until the day I die. The idea of Palpatine being a random senator who, worms his way in and becomes, the chancellor and, George W. Bush and pretty much takes over the entire government and everything, that's cool. The tragedy of how...
the tragedy of Darth Plagueis.
Yeah, the tragedy of Anakin though, and his relationship with Obi-Wan, those are cool things. It's
the tragedy of Darth Vader, the dumbass.
Yeah, it's just that the dialogue sucks.
Yeah,
and the CG hasn't really aged very well. But anyway,
the point is, when you give those plot outlines to someone who can actually write,
yes,
you end up with some pretty good stories.
Exactly, which is the case of Matt Stover's official novelization of Star Wars: The Revenge of the Sith. Mm-hmm. Okay, and the particular story that we're going to read about tonight is what actually went down in the room when the Jedi go to arrest Palpatine.
And it wasn't just Palpatine leaping over the desk, doing a spiral,
right,
and immediately killing people.
Yeah, now I figured I would talk about that just for a second. That's a problem in the movie. Because you have an order of fighting monks who can use the Force, and Mace Windu apparently brings, the best guys he knows. Because he wouldn't be like...
Well, okay. To be fair, the best guys he knows that aren't out actively fighting the war.
Exactly. And they go down like bitches. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's
pretty slice, stab, two of them are dead right off the bat.
Yeah, now this is a symptom of how the story is written. There is no comparative... I guess, what's a good term for that? There's no comparative display of Palpatine's powers and skills versus the Jedi's power and skills, or even their comparative display of power between one another, saying the Jedi, right? Mm-hmm. So, Anakin is really powerful.
He has a midi-chlorian count in the hundreds of millions or whatever.
He can swing a lightsaber, deflect blaster shots, push things with the Force, and jump.
Yeah.
Which is what every other Jedi can do.
Yeah.
Palpatine can swing a lightsaber, I presume deflect blaster bolts, so we haven't seen it, and jump, right? So that's pretty much what all the Force guys did.
You left out the most important part. He can shoot lightning out of his ass.
True. Yeah. No, I guess that's one thing that's different, at least, than, Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is that there's no comparison, there's no scale. If Anakin's here, then, is Agent Kolar over here. Mm-hmm. So anyway, the way that this is written, this whole book is good. So this is portrayed in a couple of different ways. Mm-hmm. The first way is what the public hears and what actually happens in the room. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're going to do a dramatic reading of what the public hears, because the way that it's presented in the book is that it's an audio transcript. Because right before the Jedi walk in, Palpatine reaches over and hits record on this space age tape recorder.
It's on his desk or whatever.
Whatever it was. So you're going to be playing Palpatine. I'm going to play Mace Windu. I'm not going to try to do a Mace Windu impression because that would be, first of all, racially insensitive, and second of all, I couldn't do it anyway. So
that's true.
If you want to do Palpatine, you do Palpatine. So this is right after the Jedi walk in. Our list of characters here are Palpatine, Mace Windu, Kit Fisto, Agent Kolar, and Saesee Tiin, who's the horn guy, the horny boy.
We should note this begins on page 324 if you're reading along at home.
All right, action.
Why, Master Windu, what a pleasant surprise.
Hardly a surprise, Chancellor, and it will be pleasant for neither of us.
I'm sorry? Master Fisto, hello. Master Kolar, greetings. I trust you are well. Master Teen, I see your horn has regrown. I'm very glad. What brings 4 Jedi Masters to my office at this hour?
We know who you are, what you are. We are here to take you into custody.
I beg your pardon? What I am? When last I checked, I was Supreme Chancellor of the Republic. You are sworn to serve. I hope I misunderstood what you meant by custody, Master Windu. It smacks of treason.
You are under arrest.
Really, Master Windu? You cannot be serious. On what charge?
You're a Sith Lord.
Am I? Even if true, that's hardly a crime. My philosophical outlook is a personal matter. In fact, the last time I read the Constitution anyway, we have very strict laws against this type of persecution. So I ask you again, what is my alleged crime? How do you expect to justify your mutiny before the Senate? Or do you intend to arrest the Senate as well?
We're not here to argue with you.
No, you're here to imprison me without trial, without even the pretense of legality. So this is the plan at last. The Jedi are taking over the Republic.
Come with us, now.
I shall do no such thing. If you intend to murder me, you can do so right here.
Don't try to resist. Now, at this point in the recording, it says that there have been some sounds identified as frequency resonances that match up with lightsabers, several lightsabers. And then Palpatine says,
Really? How could I possibly resist? This is murder, you Jedi traitors! How can I be any threat to you? Master Teen, you're the telepath. What am I thinking right now?
There's a sound of a scuffle, and then you hear Kit Fisto say, Sese, his first name. And then Agent Kolar, garbled, says possibly, it doesn't hurt, ? There's more of a scuffle. Palpatine says,
Help! Help! Security! Someone! Help me! Murder! Treason!
Oh, man. Someone give you your Oscar now. That's great. Yeah, so...
and that's the end of the recording.
Yeah, that's the end of the recording. This is a neat... This is what the public hears. Right.
This is what they're told happened.
No, they played this recording for them. Mm-hmm. And I think it's kind of neat that he doesn't flat out deny that he's a Sith Lord. Mm-hmm. He just says, what's wrong with...
Like, even if I am.
Yeah, it's just it's a way of thought.
It's protected under the law.
Yeah, which is really cool. Like, this is the politics it should have been in Star Wars, not fucking trade blockades. Okay, so that's what happens in the recording. That's what the Senate is played.
It's noteworthy to remember that all the public got was this audio. They didn't see anything, they just heard it.
Yes, exactly. So I'm going to read now the entire, it's not that long, but the entire excerpt of what actually happened.
All right.
A fountain of amethyst energy burst from Mace Windu's fist. Don't try to resist. The song of his blade was echoed by green fire from the hands of Kit Fisto, Agent Kolar, and Sese Tin. Kolar and Tin closed on Palpatine, blocking the path to the door. Shadows dripped and oozed color, weaving in coiled up office walls, slipping over chairs, spreading across the floor. Resist? How could I possibly resist? Still seated at his desk, Palpatine shook an empty fist helplessly, the perfect image of a tired, frightened old man. This is murder, you Jedi traitors. How can I be any threat to you? He turned desperately to Sese Tin. Master Tin, you're the telepath. What am I thinking right now? Tin frowned and cocked his head. His blade dipped. A smear of red, flashing darkness hurled from behind the desk. Sese Tin's head bounced when it hit the floor. Smoke curled from the neck and from the twin stumps of the horns severed just below the chin. Kit Fisto gasped, Sese. The headless corpse, still standing twisted at its knees, buckled, and a thin sigh escaped from his trachea as it folded to the floor. Can you see why we're doing this on a Halloween episode? Mm-hmm. It doesn't, Agent Kolar swayed. His emerald blade shrank away, and the hand grip tumbled from his opening fingers. A small, neat hole in the middle of his forehead leaked smoke, showing light from the back of his head. Hurt. He pitched forward onto his face and lay still. Palpatine stood at the doorway, but the door stayed shut. From the right hand extended a blade the color of fire. The door locked itself at his back. Help! Help! Palpatine cried like a man in desperate fear for his life. Security, someone! Help me! Murder! Treason! Then he smiled. He held one finger to his lips and, astonishingly, he winked. In the blank second that followed, while Mace Windu and Kit Fisto could do more than angle their lightsabers to guard, Palpatine swiftly stepped over the body's back toward the desk, reversed his blade, and drove it in a swift, surgical, precise stab through his desktop. That's enough of that. He let it burn its way free through the front. Then he turned, lifting his weapon, appearing to study it as one might study the face of a beloved friend. One has long thought dead. Power gathered around him until the Force shimmered with darkness. If you only knew, he said softly, perhaps speaking to the Jedi Masters or perhaps to himself, or perhaps even to the Scarlet Blade, lifted now as though in a mocking salute. How long I have waited for this. Which is terrifying.
Yeah.
And this is so much more Palpatine, right? So he didn't, like, in the film, he does his thing where he, like, he spirals through the air and all of a sudden people are dead. Yeah. In the novel, he uses the thing that got him there in the first place, which is deception and sleight of hand and trickery, pretty much. He used his brain, right? It's also worth noting that his use of a lightsaber, you find out in the novel, is to mock the Jedi. He doesn't think he needs one because he's powerful enough not to need one, but his idea is, well, I can beat them at their game too. Like, they can't beat me at my game, that'll never happen, but I can beat them at their game.
Well, one little fun addition to this is if you look at Palpatine's lightsaber in the movie, it's kind of shaped like a dildo. I mean, it just is.
All right.
It's kind of phallic. So that kind of adds an extra dimension to his whole, I'm only going to use a lightsaber to mock the Jedi thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, okay. I can beat you with a sex toy.
Oh, that would make such a gross sound. Yeah, right after this, right before Anakin gets there, because Kit Fisto lasts for a little bit, longer than he does in the movie.
Yeah.
In the movie, he just kind of slashes him across the chest. In the novel, he beheads him, and his face is frozen on that, like, Kit Fisto smile. Mm-hmm. And it's laying there on the floor, looking right at the door as Anakin walks in. Damn. So, like, it's the first thing he sees is Kit Fisto's severed head with this, like, creep, like, you know that smile from episode 2 when he pushes 3PO, like that smile? Yeah. And Anakin's like, the fuck is going on? And then, everything more or less happens the same way.
Sith be creepy, yo.
Anyway, let us know what you think. If you've read this, what your impression of it was. We think it's terrifying. So make sure you give us a like, sub, comment, follow us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We have a podcast as well. It's on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, and SoundCloud. And always remember,
the ability to speak does not make you intelligent. Now get out of here.